This is Campus News, reporting the top stories from colleges and universities.
Next on Campus News, a major update on MSU Moorhead's pursuit of a Division I hockey team.
See how students are learning another language with their hands.
Find out how the MSU Moorhead's men's basketball team fared in the first round of its conference tournament.
And see how these after-dinner tools are being put to the test in a major way. Good morning and welcome to Campus News. I'm Robert Swanson.
And I'm Chelsea Smith. Sports anchor CJ Pierre also joins us early this week with news out of MSU Moorhead's athletic department. CJ?
Thanks, guys. After years of speculation, MSUM has announced it will not pursue Division I hockey. One of the main reasons is the $37 million needed to start a men and women's hockey program.
You know, one of the things I've always said is money talks. And financially, we have to be able to do it. We have to be responsible for what's going on with the rest of the institution and making sure that we're providing our core services. And so it is a big financial part of it, of what led to this decision today. We set some benchmarks for where we wanted to be, and we're just not there right now.
Szymanski believes there's still a chance for MSUM to have a Division I hockey sometime in the future.
The sports side, you know, that
we could be talking hockey in years to come. If the money is there, we'll be glad to talk again. But I think the fact that we were willing to look into something that could benefit both the university and the community, I think that was a worthwhile endeavor.
And we'll have more reaction to the story coming up later on in sports.
Well, we look forward to hearing it.
Thank you, CJ. A bomb scare at Dickinson State University forced 3 residence halls to evacuate Wednesday morning. A call was made to the Alumni Foundation saying multiple bombs had been placed around the university. May, Stickney, and Kleinenfelter halls were evacuated. Police found nothing suspicious during their search on the campus, and their investigation continues as no arrests were made. Classes resumed later on in the afternoon. This incident comes just weeks after an audit revealed the university was giving phony degrees to international students. More colleges across the country are starting to actively recruit homeschooled students because they tend to be more academically prepared.
Reporter Callan Klein introduces us to a homeschooler who fits that mold at MSU Moorhead.
the ceteris paribus statement. I have to drop some Latin because I'm a professor, right? Ceteris paribus, all things being equal, nothing beats one-on-one. A parent and a child studying together. Nothing beats that.
And that is the world MSUM junior Scott Rebke knew growing up in Rochester, Minnesota, until that one-on-one interaction soon became just Scott and his books.
Essentially, after I turned probably 10 or 11, I was self-taught. And all my mom did was set my curriculum and then check my work, grade papers, stuff like that.
Some students entering college for the first time may find the schoolwork gets a little harder. Scott is not one of those students.
Going to class and having a professor made everything much easier. So actually, college has been easier than the kind of stuff I was doing at home.
Scott decided to pursue a degree in criminal justice right here at MSUM, where recruitment is based off of ACT and SAT scores. Now, statistics show that homeschooled students score higher on these tests than those with a traditional academic background. And once at college, homeschooled students graduate at a rate 10% higher than their peers.
And Scott proved those statistics true with a score of 29 on his ACT. But he would tell you that doesn't make him smarter than other students.
I would not say that I'm any more intelligent. I would say that I tend to be better read.
But some of Scott's professors say he has something a little special.
There's a general stereotype about homeschoolers, you know, that they tend to be closed off, they tend to be narrow-minded. Scott destroys all of those stereotypes. He is a thinker, he's a critical thinker, he is super sharp, he loves a good argument.
Like if you look at the trial, yeah, but she was the same age, it looked like.
He's not afraid at all to say, you know, have you considered this perspective, you know? And he does that in large classes.
There was no such character.
And he does that in small classes.
No, I'm not convinced because I don't really see the evidence for it.
Growing up, Scott learned German, was a Boy Scout, and participated in martial arts. But once he got to college, Scott took on a whole new kind of social experience.
I think it was the Halloween dance. And I went and it was really, really loud. I was there for a little while, and then I decided that I would rather go read in my room.
After college, Scott hopes to find a career in law enforcement and make his parents proud. But for now, Scott.
Ich heiße Scott und ich war zu Hause geschult.
is the one with something to be proud of.
Und ich bin stolz darauf.
With photographers Caitlin Teskey and Ezra Vandenighty, this is Calvin Klein Campus News.
Homeschooling became popular in the 70s, and today there's around 2 million homeschoolers in the United States. GPS devices and Google Maps have revolutionized the way people get directions, and it's the process of digital mapping that makes this possible. Geography assistant Professor Kirk Stevie is an expert in digital mapping. He held workshops at MSU Moorhead to show others how to create a digital map by using their own research. He says he is excited about the endless ways people can use and learn from virtual maps.
That's where all the ideas, the new ideas come from, is when you have just regular people thinking like, oh, hey, you can go use it for this or that, and it might be something in agriculture, could be something in ecology or sociology or what have you.
Stevie spent time in Alaska documenting tree patterns. He then added his research to the growing digital map of the state.
After a year and a half of paperwork and recommendation letters, Minnesota State Community and Technical College can finally add another degree to its list. Carly Lemkohl has more on this new degree that is in high demand.
Tri-college student Lane Zivolowski first took interest in sign language when learning to communicate with a disabled cousin. After her first year of ASL class, she realized it was what she wanted to do.
I feel like a high when I go to like Deaf Night Out and communicate in sign language for a lot of time, and it just makes me feel happy, and I just really enjoy it.
Students in the Fargo-Moorhead area will now be able to get their Associate of Applied Science degree in American Sign Language starting in the fall of 2012. The classes teach students who have suckers in their mouths so there's no talking, skills they need to become an interpreter. Instructor Christy Hilton says there is a growing demand for interpreters in the area.
There's been many students asking me, where can I go? Well, the closest ones are about 3 hours, 3.5 hours away. And if you live here and you want to stay here, then, it's hard to just pick up and move.
Learning more in sign language may open many opportunities.
I love to sing, and I feel like it's the perfect way to express and show the meaning of a song and share that with people who maybe can't hear. And it's a whole different, beautiful language, and I enjoy being able to do both at the same time.
If I die young, bury me in satin, lay me down on a bed of roses, sink me in the river at dawn, send me away with the words of a love song.
What started as a hobby has now become a part of her future career. With photographer Joshua Berggren, Carly Lemkohl, Campus News.
There are more than 250,000 people in the U.S. that use signing as their primary language.
MSU Moorhead is ranked 81st in the 2012 edition of the Best Colleges and Regional Universities. Rankings are based on freshman retention and 6-year graduation rates. The ranking process was created to help incoming freshmen get a glance at different universities across the United States. Many things are taken into account when creating the rankings, such as tuition, courses offered, and the student environment. Creighton University, a private institution, was ranked number 1.
The MSU Moorhead community took time to remember its past and to help some current students. MSUM's annual Founders Gala celebrates the founders of MSUM. It also recognizes the recipients of the Founders Scholarship. At the gala, MSUM featured a gourmet dinner, impressive flaming desserts, and a silent auction, all in the effort to raise scholarship money. Past scholarship recipient Hannah Savoy explains how the scholarship helped her.
It was a great way to be able to start college knowing that I had that little bit of burden of tuition fees taken away, and so it really got me off on the right foot and let me know that MSUM was a good school.
Students apply for scholarships by writing an essay that describes their hopes and dreams. The Founders Scholarship is worth $2,500. Each semester, university students are constantly burdened with the writing tasks their professors assign them.
But as Zach Denzer tells us, for one talented MSU Moorhead student, writing has become something more than just a school assignment.
the 13th generation of demon hunters.
There's no right way to describe the realities that have come from the imagination of 19-year-old student author Skylar DeGroat and onto the paper of her newest novel, Soul.
That bring leadership, strength, and witchcraft together.
But DeGroat, an MSUM sophomore majoring in mass communications, says she believes her unique storytelling stems from an even more distinctive source of inspiration.
I get all of my ideas from my dreams. I keep a dream journal, so I write down my dreams and then the next day I look at what I wrote.
Balancing the responsibilities of a full-time college student and full-length novelist might seem like a difficult task, but DeGroat disagrees.
I use writing as my stress reliever. So whenever I get stressed about schoolwork, I sit down and write for 15 minutes and then go back to my homework.
DeGroat says that to unlock the full potential of her storytelling, she needs complete silence. But even when her environment is ideal, the author still admits to facing writing roadblocks.
Well, with writing comes writer's block, so I've had months at a time of writer's block where I can't write anything and it drives me insane. If you want to write, you have to be determined to write. You can't just have the attitude that it's the easiest thing in the world like most people do.
With a new book on the way, DeGroat is as excited as ever. And as DeGroat continues to fashion stories together from her imagination, her vision of becoming a recognized writer is becoming less and less of a dream and more of a reality. Zach Denzer, Campus News.
Soul by Skylar DeGroat, published by Kindle Direct, can be purchased online at Amazon or BarnesandNoble.com. Concordia has created a new position to help make its campus greener. Kristen Bretova is Concordia's new sustainability coordinator. One of the things she is working on is an eco-house.
But the idea is to take a group of students who are interested in living sustainably and allow them to work and live together in that house and create ways to make it more sustainable.
4 students have been chosen to live in the house, which is located a block from Concordia's campus. The students will begin living in the eco-house starting in the fall. NDSU students are taking what they learn in the classroom to the kitchen. Kira Murphy takes us to the 800 Cafe at NDSU.
This isn't just a regular restaurant. This is NDSU's 6th annual 800 Cafe. And this year's theme, the Greek Garden. From chicken salad to homemade hummus. These NDSU students are preparing and serving meals to all those craving Greek. The Food Service Systems Management class and lab help students to understand the aspects of running a restaurant.
Then we as dietitians, we are the food and nutrition experts, and this is where it all starts.
NDSU students spend about 6 weeks in classrooms like this. Then students come to the kitchen to prepare meals like this.
A former class and lab member says the class gave her a deeper visual.
It made me look at all aspects of planning a meal, and there are a lot that you do not think of. So,
2 seniors who were managers in the 6th credit lab say they are glad to be a part of this 800 Cafe.
It's a branch of dietetics, so we're really exposed to what we're going to be doing, what the future is.
Yeah, this is basically our way of getting into the field. Normally, other majors aren't able to have hands-on experience during their bachelor's degrees.
Customers were able to fill out a survey on their overall satisfaction.
Very delicious.
The 800 Cafe is every spring semester in the Family Life Center room at NDSU. With photographer Aristide Serrano, Kiera Murphy, Campus News.
The meals at the 800 Cafe are $8 and no tipping is allowed.
A fraternity in the Fargo-Moorhead area helps raise money for a family in need. Reporter Christy Larson has more on the Theta Chi chapter at NDSU and their efforts to help a Fargo North student.
And here's some sauce.
This dinner was a lot more than just filling up a plate with noodles and sauce.
Do you want some sauce? Okay.
This night was about Chris Bear, who has been fighting cancer for over 2 years.
I've had to do a lot of chemo treatments and then the surgery today, but for the most part it's been good.
That's where the Theta Chi brothers stepped in to help the family with medical costs.
We decided that it would be a good idea to throw out some kind of benefit for him.
And I said, yeah, we'd absolutely love to have you guys involved and do something like that.
And a supportive community overwhelmed the family.
Just disbelief of how many people came today.
It's really humbling. We know we have a great community, but when it affects you and people come out for you, it means a lot more.
The plates of spaghetti are just $5 each to help raise money for the family, but the men of Theta Chi are doing something more dramatic to help raise awareness.
We decided that we were going to shave our heads for it.
We're doing the head shaving.
I didn't think there was going to be that many guys that were going to do it.
A night where hair was lost, support was gained. With photographer Matthew Holding-Eagle, Christy Larson, Campus News.
Theta Chi raised $4,200 for Chris and his family.
A group the New York Times calls the Dance Company to See will be hitting the stage once again at MSU Moorhead. The James Sewell Ballet Company will be performing its show Tattoos Not Tutus tonight at 7:30. The last time the company was here, dancers did magic with Chinese linking rings and crash-landed on wrestling mats. This time, the performers will be barefoot and covered in tattoos. The choreography is set to the music of artists like Patsy Cline, the Gorillas, and more. The show will be at the Roland Dill Center for the Arts at MSUM. Tickets will be available at the door. Scandinavians are often perceived as being quiet and reserved, so imagine the surprise as the screaming Norwegian percussion duo rolled through town.
The duo dropped a few beats as they visited both Concordia and MSU Moorhead during their tour. Reporter Krista Baim tells us more on how this duo resonated in the Valley.
Two friendly young men hitting things with sticks. That is just how Adam Cowger and Ben Walland of Chicago introduced themselves, and that is exactly what they do. After meeting and practicing together, the decision for a name came easy.
Ben would always joke around, we should start a duo called the Screaming Norwegians, and it was just kind of a running joke for a while, and then when we actually decided to do our first duo recital about a year ago, we just went ahead with the name.
With influences from sambas to hip-hop,
I close my eyes and jump until...
This dynamic duo toured area college towns to help performers with their future, and of course, play music. Both Cowger and Walland grew up with a passion for music at a very young age.
I started as a pianist in 3rd grade, and then my parents always thought I had rhythm. I would always dance to Michael Jackson.
Two MSU Moorhead percussionists, Dan Rasmussen and Andy Sturmer, were lucky enough to perform with the Screaming Norwegians and experience what they have been doing on tour.
They're both crazy players, and Andy Sturmer is obviously just ridiculous, and you know, I mean, it's a little daunting trying to play with them, but I gave it my all, I suppose.
For students with a passion for playing like Rasmussen, it was a good learning experience for the future. It's plain to see that passion and practice can go a long way. Krista Baim, Campus News.
The Screaming Norwegian percussion duo plans to go on an even bigger tour starting next year. And now we go back to CJ Pierre for a look at this week's sports.
So CJ, how are people around campus handling the news about hockey?
Well, after years going back and forth, there isn't going to be hockey, there is going to be hockey. MSUM people that have talked to us aren't taking it too well. For those fans waiting to hear about Dragon hockey, the ice won't be freezing anytime soon. Instead of dropping the puck at MSU Moorhead, they're packing it in for now. Reporter Chase Miller has more.
I was pretty disappointed, to be honest.
It's a little disappointing.
It's certainly disappointing.
This seems to be the reaction of some students and faculty around campus, and even though the Dragons seemed close, they couldn't quite write the check.
I felt like we were within striking distance and that we could achieve where we wanted to get. Unfortunately, we just didn't quite get to the bottom line. At the very beginning of the process, we sat down and we mapped out, here's where we need to be here, here's where we need to be here, and here's where we need to be here. You know, fortunately, the goals we had set for the end of February, we just didn't make.
Some believe the Fargo-Moorhead area would have heavily supported Dragon hockey.
It would have been nice to have a hockey team, I guess, just because this community is all hockey.
I think we would have had a lot of fans that we don't even know about right now, right? Maybe not MSU Moorhead as much as Dragon hockey. They might be Bison fans in football, but they would become Dragon hockey fans in the winter.
And with Division I hockey a no-go, Scott looks at it as a chance gone by for the fans.
And I think if you have any kind of MSU event, when you have the potential for 4,000 or 5,000 people watching on a weekend, I think that speaks volumes about what it would mean right now and then down the road. I do think it could help the whole image of the university too. To me, it's not a failure at all. What it is simply just a missed opportunity.
With hockey now on the back burner, those waiting for tickets will have to wait a little longer. With photographer Robert Swanson, Chase Miller, Campus News Sports.
Studies show D1 hockey would have a $12 to $14 million impact on the Fargo-Moorhead community every year. There's been much talk about what sanctions the NCAA would hand down to the University of North Dakota if the school decided to keep the Fighting Sioux nickname. Well, all the answers were laid out in a letter the NCAA sent to UND. The letter states that if UND keeps the nickname and logo, it wouldn't be allowed to host any NCAA championship competitions. So if UND were a higher seed in a first round of a tournament in which there would be a home game for the Sioux, UND would have to play at the opponent's venue. And if UND accepts any invite to NCAA postseason competition, athlete, cheerleader, dancer, and mascot uniforms wouldn't be allowed to have any hostile or abusive racial or ethnic references during competition. The sanctions are effective immediately. This could affect the Sioux women's hockey team. Ranked 5th in the nation, the Sioux have a chance to be a high enough seed to host a first-round NCAA postseason tournament game. Some footballers from the tri-state area are taking the next step in their dream to play in the NFL. Offensive lineman Tom Compton from the University of South Dakota and Paul Kornick of North Dakota State University participated in the 2012 NFL Combine. The Combine is where NFL prospects go to show off their skills for scouts of the NFL teams in a variety of drills and workouts. Compton had a strong performance, recording a 5.1 second 40-yard dash, a 30-inch vertical jump, and a 108-inch broad jump. Kornick took part in the bench press drill with 25 reps of 225 pounds. The 2012 NFL Draft begins on April 26th. MSU Moorhead Wrestling can call one of their own number one. Corey Almer has been working 5 years as a Dragon to get this national spot. Reporter Colin Boyles tells us the story of how Almer reached the top of the national rankings.
Go! The Dragons prepare for their final matches, but it was a mid-season win that prepared senior Corey Ulmer for a postseason push. At the time, the team's record was not what he'd hoped it would be, but one matchup set Ulmer against Upper Iowa's Kyle Pedretti in a showdown of the top 2 wrestlers in the country.
I feel like I controlled him the whole time. I gave up 2 points right at the end, like 10 seconds left, but I felt like I was in control of the whole match.
Ulmer's victory over the national leader gave the Dragon the #1 title. Advice from head coach Chris Nelson helped Ulmer to reach this spot.
You know, you're going into this duel and you're going into this match like you're wrestling for the national finals, and that's how I want you to prepare for it.
Ulmer earned 22 wins during the regular season, including 7 over the top 12 in the NCAA Super Region 3. Experiences gained from these and previous matches have allowed Ulmer to teach his teammates. An overtime win earlier in the season stands out in his mind, but it wasn't him on the mat.
The first duo of the year, our 157-pounder now, but he was wrestling 165 at the time, is Jake Bennett. And I showed him a move on bottom, and he won it in overtime with that, so I was pretty proud of him.
With the past and present successes of Ulmer, Coach Nelson says he will graduate as one of the greatest lightweights to be called a Dragon. And luckily for Nelson, Ulmer will be back to help coach next season. With photographer Kenny Buck, Colin Boyles, Campus News Sports.
After finishing first in the NCAA regional tournament, Ulmer will compete at the Nationals on March 9th and 10th in Pueblo, Colorado. The 2011-2012 season has been a great one for the MSUM's men's basketball team, finishing the regular season with a 14-8 record and placing 4th in the NSIC, earning its first home playoff game since 1994. The 4th seed MSUM Dragons taking on the 5th seed Augustana Vikings. Second half, Dragons up 6. DJ Hamilton with a nice bounce pass to Alex Novak, who lays it in. Novak had 15 points. Dragons up 8. Later, Hamilton getting it done on the defensive end with the steal. He goes coast to coast with a lay-in. He finished with 20 points on the night. Dragons lead still 8. Then Jake Driscoll drives to the lane, kicks it out to Charlie Chapman for the 3. He hits it. He had 20 points. The Dragons push their lead up to 9. With 2 minutes left in the game, Chapman returns the favor to Driscoll, finds him for the 3. He gets fouled. and one. 4-point play. Driscoll at 15, and the Dragons get the win, 91-83. And the Dragons are currently in Rochester, Minnesota for the semifinal round, where they'll take on top-seeded Bemidji State this afternoon at 2:30.
Well, best of luck to them.
Oh, and Dragon fans can catch the game at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Moorhead. Thank you, CJ. Grade school students test out their engineering skills at a competition where the goal is to be the last one standing. Reporter Caitlin Wigmore takes a look at these young bridge builders.
Students from area schools came together to compete at MSUM's 37th annual toothpick bridge competition.
All they can use is just round wooden toothpicks and glue. It's got to weigh less than 85 grams. It's got to span more than 560 millimeters. They bring them here, they put them on the tables, they put weights on top until they fail.
6th graders Tessa Williams and Juan Gardy, along with 5th grader Kaden Mosier, spent most of their school year working on the design for their bridges.
Did it on grid paper, and then what we did is we put them together.
The bridges had anywhere from 300 to 700 toothpicks.
I'm guessing a little over 300.
And for many of these students, it was all about strategy.
I'm probably going to put maybe a 10 on. If I put a 20 on, I don't want it to break right away.
Behind me is where these students bring their bridges to be tested to the limits. And it's all about making, then breaking.
There we go. All right. Just so you know what you're dealing with. Try to get it in the middle if you can.
I only got a 10 on there for like 2 seconds, and then
I think we did pretty good, just for the first year.
Do you plan on doing it again next year?
Yeah, it's really fun, especially watching it, break and seeing how good you did. That's fun.
For these young engineers, it's back to the drawing board to start planning for next year's competition. With photographer Robert Swanson, Caitlin Wigmore, Campus News.
The all-time record for how much one of the toothpick bridges held during the competition was 310 pounds. Now that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I could hold like 2 of me on there. Well, that's it for this edition of Campus News.
We leave you with more footage of the toothpick competition.
Thanks for joining us and have a great week.
Campus News is produced by the Television News Workshop in the Department of Mass Communications at Minnesota State University Moorhead in cooperation with Prairie Public Television.